Hello, everybody. For
Good.
those that don't know me, my name is Bryce Gold. I am the head of publishing operations here at Distillery, and I have the distinct pleasure of being joined by Jock, Will Dennis, and Sean Edgar, who also works here at Distillery. Welcome to the Gone Happy Hour, and thank you so much for joining us today. Lots to celebrate. First of all, Jock, congrats on getting Gone 3 out the door. We're finally on sale. Big cheers to that.
Thanks, Bryce. Thank
And
you.
Will, thanks for getting it all together. Did a great job. Will's the editor.
Thank you.
Gone for those joining us and are unaware. So yeah, thanks for coming and hanging out. This is the third issue of Gone. It is in comic book stores right now. Digital copies are available on distillery.co through the 15th of the month. After that, you'll have to try your luck on Distillery's marketplace to get yourself a copy. Also happy to announce that the hardcover for Gone is going to be out August 14th. Orders are still open with your local comic book store to get the mass market edition or the direct market exclusive edition with more bells and whistles right from your comic book store. This is going to be the first creator-owned book written and drawn by Jock. And this is also a culmination of the first series that Distillery ever released after our Devil's Cut anthology last year. So Jock, kudos. I'm going to be moderating our discussion today. We have a lot of fun questions for you. Audience members,
Sure.
if you have questions as well, feel free to propose those in the Q&A section, or you can mention it in the webinar chat. That would be great as well. We'll be getting to your questions shortly. So to kick us off, Jock, you've been really instrumental in creating the imagery and a lot of the visual language for the modern face of science fiction these days between Star Wars and Ex Machina, Dread and Beyond. What aspects of science fiction did Gone help you address that you didn't get a chance to in your previous projects?
Wow, it's a great question. First up, hello everyone. By the way, thanks for joining us. Thanks for picking up Gone. If you have, I bought a bottle of whiskey tonight just to celebrate for finishing Gone. I don't know what time is it where you guys are. Maybe too early.
Like it's almost 5 o'clock. It's 4 o'clock on the East Coast.
There you go.
So Will's got the bottle of Dalmore that I bought him. Like, is it Dalmore 15-year-old?
18. Yeah, 18.
18. Damn,
Yeah.
You know how expensive those are these days?
Yes, I do.
So that's my favorite whiskey. I don't know if there's any whiskey drinkers joining us, but a Dalmore 18 is pretty much my favorite whiskey, and Will still has some in his bottle, which is insane.
I'm just rolling it out for special occasions, man. It's not a daily drinker, you gotta.
No, exactly.
Christmas, New Year's, Gone.
We got some Dalmore fans in the chat too. You're in good company. Oh yeah.
Anyway, just.
What are you drinking? Grain
you know
alcohol? What is that?
You know what? The truth is, it was a late dash to the supermarket because I haven't got anything decent in my cupboard, and it's Suntory whiskey. For a good time, Suntory time, right?
Nice. Oh, there it is.
Oh yeah. Oh, we're joined by Lee Loughridge too, colorist on Gone. Lee, welcome.
Yo, what up?
What's going on?
Hey man, how's it going?
I was having issues.
He's on board a ship,
Who
it
doesn't
looks
these
like.
days?
What's happening?
Hey, Willie D. What are
What's
you at a
up,
bar?
Lee?
That's a fake background. You're that guy.
This Milano's bar on Houston Street in New York City. Maybe you've heard of it.
You're not there. You're
If you haven't heard of it, then why are you even on this fucking call?
Name sounds familiar, but the memories are hazy.
All right, I'm out. Good seeing you guys. Bye.
He's got like an energy drink.
Lee, we have some questions for you too. You can't get off that easy.
Yeah, so
All
everyone,
right.
this is Lee Loughridge. We've worked together since my first work actually with Will Dennis and at DC on Hellblazer was my first issue, and then we did the Losers together. And Lee basically saved my life on Gone because we were the first, like Bryce said, it was the first series from Distillery. There were deadlines to meet. Some were still broken, but I think we got there in the end. But Lee basically just saved my bacon on a number of occasions. So
Definitely did.
I've just poured a whiskey, so I'm just going to say thanks in I was going to say in person, but in like virtual person Thank you, man, as always.
Cheers.
Dude,
What are you drinking?
anytime.
Like kombucha or something there? What is that?
I have a green drink.
Mm,
Oh my God, what's wrong with you? Who are you?
Actually,
very West
So
Coast of you.
hold on, I'm taking over. Jock, I heard a funny
Oh.
story.
Go on.
Last night I was in San Diego. I was helping with Lowell Tolhurst.
Oh,
You know who
yeah.
that is?
What?
Yeah. Him and Budgie played a show. I was helping them with drums. And
So just quickly, anyone so Lowell was in The Cure, which
Right.
is a band infamously I auditioned for 25 years.
I heard that story from Chip told me you have a rejection letter.
I do. Yeah.
your
So
book.
yeah, when we did an art book maybe which Will wrote maybe 2016 it came out. I was going to say 5 years ago, but it's 8 years already. And Mondo were partners in releasing it, and we did like a special Mondo edition, which is like a clamshell case, and it had some prints and it had some like mini prints of some stuff I'd done. But I also included like this letterpress beautiful print of the rejection letter from The Cure, because like that at that point my life maybe went this way, and I so yeah, I still have it, Lee. I still have it.
I was gonna say, send me a shot of that. I'm gonna be with him. I'll be with him tomorrow. I'll show him. They'll get a kick out of that.
So like the letter is basically like a sort of like a it's not you, it's me letter. Like when you break up when you were young and you break up with someone, because it's from all of them, but they sort of say, there was no particular reason. It's just a matter of feelings, and It's kind of like it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Were you trying to drum?
Say again, Lee.
What were you trying out for? Or
Drums.
what did you want to?
Drums.
So I didn't know.
Drummers in the chat right now. That's so
I didn't know
funny.
you played drums. I had no idea. Why don't I know?
Yeah.
I did not know.
Yeah.
You probably told me.
Yeah, so like early on, I was basically trying to either drum or draw for a living, and they both happened at the same time. I got my first work in 2000 AD, and I got paid to tour with a band around Europe. And I was actually painting Judge Dredd pages on a tour bus going around Europe in like 2001, which I do not recommend at all. By the way, it was an awful idea. And the band was going, but the singer left basically, and that kind of disbanded. So and I was getting work for 2000 AD. So here we are. I mean, that's so here we are.
And you were a shitty drummer. Let's be honest.
I'm
Tough break, but honestly good for us, the rest of the world, that we get to see your art on this side of the page, I guess.
Yeah, your failure has benefited many.
It has. How do you feel like, actually, no, this is a good question to start off with the group. How do you feel like music has influenced your art or your coloring?
Yeah, for me, that it's sort of the same. I think drawing is a bit more cerebral, and music is a bit more like, for me, your aim when you're drawing is just to feel it. It's just for it to kind of like come easy and feel natural, but it doesn't always. And with comics particularly, there's a lot of stuff you have to kind of be, you have to figure out. You have to figure out the layouts, the flow, the storytelling. So you have to kind of have a bit of kind of objectivity about it, to sort of like do the job before you start the drawing. But with music, I mean, for me, again, playing the drums particularly, it's just about kind of letting go and sort of, I don't want to get too much. It's like melodramatic or pretentious, but you feel it, right? When you're half decent on an instrument, you can just play it, and you don't really think about it. You feel it. So, but for me as well, like my favorite aspect of comics is the storytelling, the layouts, the rhythm of the story, which I guess ties into playing the drums, like crescendos and builds and tempo changes and quiet moments and space. I love all that stuff, and definitely I think music is tied into that, I would say. Lee, what do you actually play? Because I see like on your Instagram, you're at gigs all the time, right?
Yeah, I just have a lot of friends in that business, so and I'm just tied to it, and then I just help out when I can. So my buddy is tour managing for those guys for Lowell, and,
right.
and there's a big festival tomorrow we're doing with like Duran and Blondie and Adamant and Stebo and
Awesome.
so
Adamant.
it'll be fun.
Yeah.
But you know, I like to jump in. Sometimes I got to do a little work rather than just getting passes.
Sure. Well, one of my earliest, I've got one of my earliest drawings is like of Adamant when I was about 9. And underneath it says, like in my own handwriting, that is rubbish, with like arrows pointed towards it. So like my artistic temperament was like, it's nuts. It's like little kids' drawings, so that is rubbish. Like, you know, this, like,
That's how you get better.
Like gig posters or anything like that?
Say again?
Do you ever do like gig posters? Do you have a collection?
No,
none of
no.
those?
A little while ago, when I was doing stuff for Mondo, I got offered like a Black Keys poster, but for whatever reason that didn't work out. And I see friends doing posters, and when I was younger, I loved Primus, and I see guys doing posters for Primus all the time. I'd love to do a poster for those guys, but yeah, time. Posters take a lot of time, and the last 3 or 4 years I've just been doing comics really. So yeah, I haven't had much time.
Got it. There's always
I
time
made
again.
flyers. I made flyers. I put out a whole book of flyers with image.
You did?
Yeah, that's right. You did.
Yeah, punk rock, paper, scissors. It's all punk and hardcore flyers from 78 to 92.
Awesome.
Flew off the shelves. Flew off the shelves.
I love it. Well, why don't we start diving in on Gone, guys? Jock, I had posed this question kind of at the top of the chat. I'll reiterate it since I know we have some more folks that joined us. Jock, you've been instrumental in creating the imagery for the modern face of science fiction between Star Wars, Ex Machina, Dread, and beyond. What aspects of science fiction do you feel like Gone has helped you address that you couldn't get to in your previous projects?
Yeah, so I guess if I'm being honest, Gone, it feels like a bit of a love letter to the comic I read growing up, which is 2000 AD. It feels a little bit more like a sort of 2000 AD sort of style story. The film work I've done, even though I did Dread, which is a 2000 AD character, like the film had a very different tone and a very different kind of thing about it, and which was great. But you know, you sort of flex different muscles doing that stuff, and Gone was like I didn't set out to do this, but as I was working on it, I realized it's like, actually this is my sort of, yeah, my love letter to what I grew growing up and what inspired me growing up, and the amazing stories and art in 2000 AD and the amazing creators that came from there. And Gone was I guess it kind of snuck in without me realizing that that's really what I was doing with this. So I guess what I'm saying is, with the film work, you have to be very aware of the parameters of the film and what the director wants and what the tone of the film is and all that stuff. And obviously with a comic and a comic you do yourself, you can go all out and you can kind of, let go of that a little bit more. So yeah, I guess it's a love letter to the comics I loved growing up.
Okay. How long has Abby been living in your head? What are the seeds of Gone?
When did I start issue 1, Will? Was it like last June?
It was last summer. It was like
Last summer?
before, or right after San Diego, maybe. I think you were going back to really get like stuck into it.
Early August. So
I mean, we'd already done the short, like in the
yeah, of course.
Bevel cut, like around this time last year. I think that was due to the printer in like May of last year, June last year.
So she'd been living in my head just a day before it went to the printers, I would say. No, yeah. Yeah, it's just sort of I don't, I'm sure everyone's different, but for me it was like the germ of the idea of the story. What was there, like the stowaway, basically, which is what the little short story was called in Devil's Cut.
Mm-hmm.
And Abby was a little girl in that, but it was more the sort of theme of the story I've had kicking around for a while. I didn't quite know what it would look like. I didn't quite know sort of what would happen. I didn't really know even the world it was going to be in, or whether it was even going to be on like a space liner. But I like the idea, sort of, thematically, of someone being kind of lost and just trying to get home. Because I think, that's something we can kind of all relate to, I guess. And and with Gone, even at its core, even though it's kind of takes place in space and there's these larger than life kind of environments and situations, you know, to me, that's just all sort of window dressing, really, and hopefully what people really get from it is just that this is someone that wants to get home, and that's what I found kind of it, you know, that's what I was chasing when I was doing it, was trying to get that feeling across.
Question.
You know,
I know that you've been working with Jock for at least a decade and a half through Hellblazer and The Losers and Scalp covers.
Decades, 30
Batman.
years.
Yeah, who's counting these days?
My first work was for 2000 AD. Well, actually, my very first commission from 2000 AD was a pin-up in 1995. So take that. No, but like I've been working regularly since the year 2000, basically.
Wow.
24 years.
Rookie.
Wow. I know, right? I don't know a thing.
Says the Eisner Award winner, Inkpot Award winner, XYZ Award winner. You know. Will, what struck you most about Gone compared to Jock's previous work?
Whoa!
Also,
Scott
interrupting
Snyder,
myself, Scott Snyder. Hello.
I was in the wrong link. I was there as a spectator, just enjoying you
In the
guys.
Superman chat with all the
I've been
DC guys.
Yeah.
I've been here. I was just
Buddy.
I was just hanging in the chat.
Oh, dude, how's it going?
It's good. It's good. I got my kid's homesick, so it's that. His birthday party is tomorrow. He turns 5, but he got an ear infection last night. So today has been all about getting him antibiotics. So very glamorous life of a writer.
That's the life of a writer. Yeah. Speaking of, how was the Superman set? I saw the photo of all you guys. With
It
James
was
Gunn.
awesome. I'm really glad you posted that. We can say. I mean, I wasn't gonna. I'm so buried in work, but I was like, how am I gonna say no to that? And then, so it was really cool. I mean, it's down in this place, Fayetteville, where it's like they built this studio out of nothing, where it's like just in the middle of nowhere, Georgia, and then all of a sudden there's like 30 sound stages and this town that they erected in the middle of it, that with hotels, and it looks like a kind of almost like a film set of a town with like little pharmacy and restaurants, but it's all built as this kind of complex for people there. And then it was really cool. I mean, I can't really say much except like it's super the thing that was really cool about it was like they were very excited to have comic creators there, and they knew all of our stuff, and I mean, like, what's his name when John came out and Nick came out as Superman and Lex Luthor, they walked us onto the set, and I don't think I've ever been on a movie set before, and you walk in and it's the whole thing, and then he just like walked around the corner in the costume, and he's a big dude, and you're just like, oh my god, it's Superman. That's fucking crazy. And then the funniest was Nick came out as Lex Luthor, and he was like, none of you guys wearing LexCorp shirts?
Yeah.
And it was just like, it was like the best, because we all had the Superman thing. So it was really cool. And above all, like, the thing I'd say again is that, like, it just seems really, really comic friendly. Not just everyone seemed really well steeped in the history of the character. They had, in the hotel where we were, as part of their library there, they had all these Superman graphic novels and stories, and it was really, really, like, the DNA of the movie seems very comic based in a really cool way. And he was awesome. I mean, James Gunn was like incredibly nice and knew all of us and our stuff. And super nice, and made a special effort, which was really nice, to take John Ostrander for a little while and talk about Mr. Terrific, because it was like the anniversary of Mr. Terrific's thing, and that was not like filmed, or it wasn't for anything. He just like talked to him.
That's great.
So it was really cool. It was super cool. And it looks really good, and it was fun, and it was good.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So, hey, Brian, is it too early to announce something on this, just for the people, the subscribers that are here, or no? Is it too early?
Is it what?
I was saying to Bryce, is it too early to announce something on this thing? Probably is, right?
A little early. Yeah.
A little early.
Let's hold off. But
right.
Exciting things to come in the DSTLRY world. I'll say that right now. Some questions from the audience. Jock, is there much freelance work for mall Santa Clauses in the UK? This comes from your buddy Mark Bernard.
From what Santa Claus?
As a mall Santa Claus. He said for you that you're a mall Santa Claus.
A mall? Oh, you Americans, sorry. You mean just shopping center? You mean a
Yeah,
shopping center?
he's essentially making fun of you for looking like Santa Claus in a mall.
Yeah. There's loads of work, which is lucky because I'm struggling at the moment. So but where are we now? Like May, it's not that busy right now, but don't worry, just come December, I'm gonna be rocking it.
Yeah, we never
They
hear
probably
from
have
you
those
in
gigs out
December.
now.
Like,
You look like the Rankin Bass Santa Claus.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I'm not getting these references at all.
Like do you remember like
You can
Rudolph
do
the Red,
anything.
like the claymation, like the real bushy beard?
How
like,
dare you? Stop motion. How dare you?
I'm sorry. I didn't even hear what you said, Lee. I just assumed it was, awful.
It was snarky. Yeah,
I'd say he looked like a sexy Santa Claus to me. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
Well,
pretty good looking.
See,
I don't know what kind of malls you guys are hanging out in, but the mall Santa Claus look like they've been sleeping in the mall most of the time.
I mean, most malls these days look like
I know. If there's anything sadder than there's nothing sadder than American malls.
Oh yeah. I like British malls though. The Corn Exchange. Got a shout out to Leeds Corn Exchange. I'd never seen the Corn Exchange before.
There we go.
Yeah.
We'll be back there passed out this time in November.
I'm sure we
year.
will.
Anybody in the chat wants to join us?
Yeah, we'll be hanging out in the Corn Exchange. Well, I guess we can talk about Gone a little bit on this chat. Will, I was going to ask you before, what struck you the most about Gone compared to Jock's previous work? What makes this a standout work in the repertoire of Jock?
He wrote it.
Good answer.
No, he wrote, and that's good editing. He'd written the Batman, right? And so you were just coming right off of that. So at least you had those muscles a little bit, stretched out. But yeah, I mean, that's obviously the biggest thing is that just take that leap into, having this kind of a germ of an idea and then expanding it to the scope that it is. And I don't think people realize, and I don't think even we realize as creators or even as a company, like how these extra pages and the oversized pages, like the amount of extra work it is and the amount of just extra pressure it seems to be. I mean, it's across the board, people, very seasoned professionals who are, struggling is maybe the wrong word, but like really being challenged by the format and the size of the pages and all the rest. And even the way the issues break is a little unnatural in some ways. Like I think it's great from a value standpoint. You get these really chunky books and they're really beautiful and oversized, and I think really worth the money when you see what they're charging $4 or $5 for these, pamphlets of 22 pages and stuff. But just from a storytelling standpoint, in terms of like the way acts normally break down and stuff, like Scott and I were just kind of going through the second issue of White Boat, and he was sort of like, oh, it kind of slows down at this point. But I was like, yeah, but that's really the way issue 3 would be, not the beginning of issue 2, right? So it's like, you have to really change your thinking in that respect, And Jock being like the first one into the pool, I mean, I think that was like the biggest thing, It really took somebody who had I think one of the things with Jock, you was saying before, it's like it's really like kind of the feel of it more than like the think of it, you know what I mean? In terms of it's all the stuff I think he does is very feel based, right? So I think we didn't really know what we didn't know, so he was just game to kind of go, get in there and go, right? And just be propulsive in the storytelling and come up with a thing. So I think in that respect, the launch behind this thing was particularly, it just, worked out so perfectly just because it's like, it's high energy, it's big, it showed off the format, but it also, I think we both, we struggled quite a bit at the beginning with the ideas about, is it like a spaceship liner and there's other passengers on it? Is it like some kind of a military thing? Like there was a lot of back and forth, about the actual nuts and bolts of all the stuff. But he had the ideas and he had the theme.
Hey,
those things.
Hey,
so,
Becky.
Whoa.
Hello.
Hey,
Becky Cloonan,
Sorry,
thank you for joining us.
I'm interrupting.
No, that's all
Not at
right.
all.
I finished it.
Good to have
Just
you.
that, he's very well suited to just kind of dive in and get after it. You know what I mean? I think where some of the rest of us would have been, trying to figure out what's the perfect way to lead off, what's this, what's that. Like Jock was just like, this is the idea, this is what I want to do. I want it to be big, I want it to feel like this. And it's like, all right, let's go, you know.
Totally.
So
The colors look awesome too. I mean, they are
Nice.
like they're great.
Yeah.
That, and then I saw you on Outside Distillery, but the Six Fingers, that was beautiful as well.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
you're killing it, dude. I love what you're doing.
yeah. Well,
yeah,
I'm available. I'm available, Scott.
Anybody in the chat wants to
Just color my
a
life.
low price, moderately talented colorist. There's your
Yeah.
guy.
You want run of the mill? I got you.
Right. If you want it done, that's what we say about Lee. That's the, you know, if you want it done, call Lee Loughridge.
You're leaving off done great. I mean,
No. We just don't get carried away. You stop it if you want it done. That's what we say.
Lee,
No.
behind the scenes, there's nobody
Like-
at the distillery camp that everyone wants to work with you, and your work is just fantastic. So just need to throw that out there.
I am the
I can co-sign that.
hey Beck.
A lot of haters
I'm the big,
on vid today, but
I'm the McDonald's of color. I'm the McDonald's. I get it done.
What you mean,
It's-
Will's favorite meal?
Oh my God. You guys want to talk about McDonald's for the next half an hour? Believe me, let's go.
yeah, we need another hour.
Now I
just for-
suddenly I'm animated now. Let's go. I'm ready.
yeah.
Hi, Becky. Sorry, I didn't mean to. We didn't get a proper introduction to Becky Cloonan, the artist, writer extraordinaire of Somna.
I don't
Chris is
want an
on-
introduction.
No,
Hey,
it's
Becky.
all right.
I'm here to celebrate Jock right
I was
today.
yammering as usual.
Well, you're here now. We're going to involve you. We have actually a very good question from the audience. Shout out to Chad Garish. I think that everyone on the chat can answer this. How does the page size for Distillery change your style or your writing style? Would it be like all pages are double panel pages, or is it something different?
Well, for me, straight off the bat, I mean, my Batman One Dark Knight for Black Label, DC Black Label, was oversized as well, and it was 3 issues, the same. So it was the same format. I did write a Wolverine thing years ago, but it was the first thing I've ever written. But that was a traditional sort of comic size and format. But this, I say in short, actually, I kind of there's more room to breathe with it. The pages just being larger means, and certainly from an art perspective, it means there's more kind of scope and depth to a page, I would say. Becky, I'd love to get your take on this as well, because when there is that, it feels like if you go to shows in Europe, and they have these big albums, hardcover albums, and the pages are always larger, and you can almost get lost in the art, and there's something really, really appealing about that, I think. So I guess this is a long and winding way of just saying, for me, it sort of made me maybe sort of pay attention to what I was doing, think about that space and how you can best still make it feel like it's kind of you're giving it the right amount of value for a reader, because actually maybe that's a good point, because actually, there's something about the 22-page US format that there's a sort of there's a rhythm to that, right? I talk about rhythm again, but there's a rhythm to how you read that, right? And it is different. It feels different in your hands. It's a larger thing. And I get like Scott, Becky, I don't know whether you've altered how you write. I mean, my guess is maybe it might be lean more into the art side of things, but there is something different about this longer album format, I would say. I haven't really answered the question there at all, however. I've just kind of like, but yeah,
Wow.
it is different. It is different for sure. And
It definitely changes the writing for me. Like
It does. Okay.
It took me a minute to get the hang of it, dude, because it gives the benefit is that it gives you this like longer build. Like, so for a horror book like Waitboat, it was this kind of wonderful thing to have the space to create this kind of anxiety and dread as it goes and make it this cumulative kind of rolling effect. Whereas when I'm doing a 22-page issue, it's very much about like getting a hook at the end that makes you like building that quickly, and then also trying to give the thesis of the book in such a way that you understand what you're looking for and understand all the expectations of the book in such a packed space. That here, part of the allure and part of the like, what winds up happening for me at least is like I can tell a story that part of the hook isn't just like, guess what happens on the last page, but it's the allure of being more and more immersed in this like dreadful, scary atmosphere. And that's what I think we have as a strength in comics as opposed to film and TV. It's that kind of the reader being more intimately connected and using their own imagination to see what's coming on the next page, reading at their own pace, and really like being enveloped by it. So for me, at least writing for horror and like thriller stuff with this format, it has this huge benefit of allowing you to create this kind of, yeah, really expansive and immersive kind of texture throughout the whole thing, which I was excited by. I think storytelling wise, it takes a minute to get this, like for me to get my sea legs, because then it's like, well, it's 3 acts, you know? So it's like, so it breaks differently in terms of the big beats, but it's a lot of fun for that reason too. It sort of makes you flex very different muscles, you know? And yeah, that's why it just lends itself to a different kind of storytelling that I think I'm excited to get to do, that I don't feel like I get to do in 20-page format that way.
Becky?
Yeah, I agree. I agree with all that. The dimensions do change, like having different pages are like a little wider, so it does change. Like, you know, you have like with comics, you end up kind of relying on this muscle memory of like, oh, this is how I can break the page down, and like these are the different kind of combinations of panels that kind of look good, or like if I want to achieve a certain feeling or emote or something like that, like I can use this kind of combination, but it's different for the distillery size just book, because you're breaking it down in a different way, you know, like you can fit a little bit more on a page. As far as panels go, sometimes I'd be like, oh yeah, I can have a 7-panel page and it doesn't feel like too cramped at all, you know. It's like it feels like the page still has room to breathe. So that was kind of fun to be like, oh, I can like string this moment on a little longer than I would have, because I can fit that extra panel in there to my detriment.
Somna really blew me away. By the way, Will knows, because I was writing him like, can I get it early? Can I get it early? I think I wrote you too, and Tula, but Lisa, but like just the storytelling in that book was so phenomenal, both artistically, visually, but also just the pacing, and again that feeling of like horrible anxiety that like you knew this like bad stuff was coming. And I just thought it was really masterful, and the lushness of the art in it too, like the level of detail that you brought to it, maybe because
that's like all Lisa.
Really cool.
Yeah, her stuff was like, she does a really good job of like, and Jock, you did this too, where you look at both like the spreads, you know, it's like you're not just telling a story for like, and I do to an extent, you know, where it's like I'll plan out every page how they're supposed to look next to each other, and like plan for the page turn and everything. But you guys do a really good job of just utilizing the whole thing as like both pages as almost one page, where your eye is just constantly flowing through. I think I go a little bit more like one page at a time, you know, and then you get to the next page. But I really yeah, it's inspiring. I was kind of doing that a little bit at the end of Somna.
There you go. Yeah, I love designing to be honest, once I've done the layouts, the breakdowns, I kind of feel like my job's done. I've told the story, I've broken it down, there it is visually, and now I've still got to draw the damn thing, you know. It's kind of like at that point it's kind of done. But I do wonder whether Becky, just speaking to what you were saying there, again, growing up reading 2000 AD, it was a weekly anthology comic with kind of 5 different stories in each week, you know, amazing different styles. But like there'd always be a center page. It was normally Judge Dredd was the main story, and then there'd always be a center page, which was a double page spread, and that was part of the language. You know, was utilizing this big kind of, you know, double page spread in an interesting dynamic kind of way. So I wonder whether, you know, maybe with Lisa as well, like growing up reading that stuff, it sort of it sort of integrated into my kind of thought maybe a bit more or something. I don't know. But yeah, I love that stuff. And again, you know, the distillery format being larger, yeah, you don't want to shortchange the reader. You know, you want to make use of that. So I tried to do big spreads with kind of, you know, I was just going to say cool stuff happening, but that is a pathetic description of what of it.
Accurate though.
But you know, yeah, but,
I didn't realize this was public when I signed up. I thought this was just us partying. Like I really thought it was just a happy hour for us to have a drink and be like, and then as soon as I signed in, that's why I stayed in the spectator area for a minute. I was like, what is happening? There's like people here watching this, and I thought it was just going to be us like toasting. So No, I'm
Hang on.
partying with an
I'm
audience.
ready for it
Wore
now.
pants. That was nice of you. Yeah, like
I'm
if you
wearing
go back,
sweatpants. In fact, you could, like, I'm like in my worst like dad.
if you go back, like even that opening spread, like that might normally just be a splash page in a regular comic, right? Like that opening spread at the very beginning of the ship, you know?
Yeah.
But the format allows like just that much wider screen, right? I mean, if you only had 22 pages, like you wouldn't spend 2 of them on this, right? So,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
it definitely does that. Yeah, and Lisa, if you look through Somna, I was just doing it because we put the hardcover to bed sort of, and she's got lots of pages where you read them left and right, but she's taken background elements and like bled them across behind the panels, you know, to sort of integrate them in just like a really cool way. Even in a lot of manga comics where there's like the tier of the 5 or 6 panels across the top, and then the bottom half is like a spread, you know? Like I still think there's a lot of stuff even that we haven't yet cracked the code on really taking advantage of the format, you know, because it is so new to everybody. But there's some good examples there of it. But
Lee,
yes,
I'd love to ask you actually about, you know, Lee, you were the colorist on Somna, you were the colorist on Gone, you're going to be the colorist on an upcoming distillery title called The Big Burn with Lee Garbett, who could sadly not join us tonight.
You are correct.
With Henderson. But how did the coloring differ for each of those titles? Like, what was your approach to Somna and to Gone?
It's a great question. No, I don't know. I think Gone, I've worked with Jock so much. I sort of followed Jock's lead from the short he did. Because I came in like last minute because Jock was so horrendously late. And I needed to save him.
again.
You mean I was working so horrendously hard.
I had to save him. That's the only reason I got the job. So I just followed kind of what he did and I just went with it. And luckily I sent him pages and he liked them. That is the scope of that. Becky, for her stuff, I think I know what Becky likes. So I definitely approached modeling and stuff for her. Plus I knew Jock was going to polish the pages after. So like I would color and then he went on top and added stuff. He cake decorated my cake decorating. And then,
but which actually might be just for people that are listening in, like that might not realize what the collaboration actually is. And we've done it a few times now, right, Lee? Where you know, like back in the day with the Losers, Lee would color my pages, but then I started coloring myself, and you know, artists are like that we're idiots, and then like I said to Lee, can we like sort of collaborate a little bit more? And on this, he'd send me. Well, actually, the thing about cake decorating the cake is perfect, but the point is actually Lee's cake is like the best in the business. Like your choices, your color choices, but it's so strong. Like when I color myself, actually, I think, and again, you know, this is open to argument, but you know, like when say. You know, like when Brian Bolland recolored The Killing Joke, for example, you know, and you remember John Higgins' original colors in The Circus were like bright and bold and garish and all that, which I think actually was a really good storytelling choice. And Brian, you know, apparently never really liked them, and when he recolored them, they were much more muted and tasteful. And I've got to be honest, I find that I sort of tend to go like that. I tend to desaturate a bit. I tend to try and make it kind of tasteful. But sometimes you need that kind of strength and that kind of hit of color, you know, and often, you know, like I'll sort of do some coloring myself and then I work with Lee again and he'll just like do something in a scene. I'm like, damn, that's so strengthening what I'm going for. But I would normally, it's not that I would shy away from it. It's just like I would, my concerns might be elsewhere with the way that I'm coloring it. And Lee comes in and just makes certain, like really bold choices with like, remember there's one scene in issue 2, I think, where they're kind of going down into the guts of the ship, and you just suddenly did this like this red wash on everything, and it was just like, of course, like why didn't I? Why, you know? And the truth is, I probably wouldn't have done that. But then, so what happens is then Lee will send me his colors, and he sends me them as layers, and then I'll still go in and do some of my stupid bullshit on top. Put some textures on, some extra glow, some highlights. I try and, but what the big difference, I guess, rightly would be like the entity in the story, this pink cloudy smoke business.
Yeah.
I went in and did quite a lot on top of what Lee did, but again, it was all just kind of like sprinkles, really. Like Lee came in and just saved my butt and did an amazing job.
You're
frankly.
saying he has bad tastes when you're right when you're like I'm very tasteful with what I do, and then Lee comes in and it's like
but Scott, but like it's not. I mean, that's funny, but it's actually that there's a weird truth in like you can be too tasteful. It's like you just need someone to like kick ass, right? Honestly, like that. I think that's really important. And funny enough, like with the Brian Boll and the Killing Joke, I don't know whether you guys are familiar with them both, but like for example, he then did the scenes where the Joker, before he became the Joker, and they were nearly grey with little pops of orange. Little pops of orange of the lobster, and I think that's much better than the original. Like that to me, like the mix of the two would have been perfect, because that kind of desaturation and tasteful, and it's calm, and it's there's a deadness to the scene. I think is really good for those scenes. But then later on, arguably John Higgins, like with those crazy garish rainbow colors of the circus, that was the craziness of the Joker, and that does something different, right? So
I remember. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I love Lee's coloring, because it's like, first of all, every scene is like set in a new way, so it's like it does a lot of the work, the storytelling work, where you're just like, oh, when you flip a page and immediately you change from like something warm to something cool. It like that tells it's like, oh, the scene is different. Oh, the time of day has changed. Like, oh, we're in a different season. Like something is different about this. So it's just such a great visual cue for the reader that like I don't have to do any work for it, because it's like, that's all Lee. And then I also love that it's never like, it's always done in a way to like enhance the line work, and it never feels like, oh, this is overwhelming or like bogging the story down. It's like it's the exact right amount of color, like just in the right spots where it's like the perfect collaboration. I'm this is why I just always want to work with Lee on everything.
No, keep talking about me.
Well, actually,
it's cool, like coming into comics and Will was like the person that first sort of brought me in with American Vampire, him and Mark Doyle over at Vertigo. I remember like we were looking at different colorists for American Vampire, and one person I was brand new to comics, and we got two different coloring samples, and one was really literal, and it was like I was like, this is the one, and then the other one was Dave McKeag, where it was really like off model, like the sky was yellow and this was this, and Raphael was like, that's the one. And I was like, I didn't understand, and Raphael was like, do this for me, like look through the issue and just blur your eyes and like watch what happens. And I remember going through it and being so amazed that it started in these kind of warm it has a cold open that's dark, it's scary, but then the bulk of the issue goes from this warm morning tones to dark for bluer tones, and then it ends in the scary red zone when the vampires come out in this. And it was this like just a story being told through over this palette, and it was so cool. I had never seen that, and of course it was like the right choice and all of that for that kind of book, because the book has that also that feeling. It's supposed to be atmospheric for each decade and have that kind of really bold color. But I didn't know, it was like my first real experience with the way color can, like you said, Becky, sort of inform a story in such a way that it has its own narrative almost going on,
Yeah.
Super quick, just to speak to that, I'll see if I could grab a copy of The Losers. It's like a European one. They put every issue into the book. There was a thing in issue 2 where Lee, you talk about like the sky being like purple or something. This scene here, like there's a big splash of a ship, and the sky is like bilious green. Like it makes no sense at all. Like, why is that green, Lee? Why is that green? But it works, right? It just kind of it does something. And when the film was happening as well, which I kind of got the credit for, because they say we were going for like a loser's palette, the color choices and everything. And I'm sat there going, oh, that was Loughridge, that's not me.
Yeah. I'm
you're
good
on
with
the
that.
Right.
The unsung hero of comics just sat right here with us today.
It's just lazy. I'm just lazy. That's all it is.
He's the most unprofessional professional comic book person I've ever worked with. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I know, believe me.
Good
You've
work.
been making me look good for 25 years.
Well, your face isn't.
Well,
Is
I
anyone
mean,
else actually drinking on this thing, or is it just me
Hey,
making more
come
and
on.
more?
I wanted.
You
Now
can't see
I
it
was
from
like,
the
I
background,
thought it
but
was just us. So then I was gonna like
this is
leave.
my
I'll
100
leave
volt
and get
shot
one and
glass
come
that
back.
I've got
Be
on
like,
every call now.
Look,
Yeah, yeah.
Will's got the little 100 bullets shot glass. Look at
Yeah,
that.
you see that?
Mhm. There you go.
Like etched. It's like etched into the glass. Pretty sweet.
I got
That's all
like
I
too
got. That's
nervous
all I
to
got for
leave. Again, I
Vertigo.
thought it was just us, so I was
16
gonna like
years.
come in, say hi, and then go get a drink. But then it was like there's people watching, so then I felt like
I hope maybe they're
is-
drinking. They're
Oh,
probably
no.
drinking
yeah,
now.
is anyone in
It's
the chat
almost 5
drinking?
o'clock.
They
Bryce,
better
is anyone in the
start
chat
just to
drinking?
make this a little more exciting.
Yeah, yeah.
Can we get hands up in the chat if anyone's having a drink with us right now?
Oh, we got some
Yeah,
responses
we got a
here.
couple of
We got
dudes.
Blayton's Gold is being drank.
Right.
Got some folks saying cheers.
Jay
We actually
Frost
have
says
some
he's got
questions
something
about.
going.
Yeah. We do have some unanswered questions from the crowd. Actually,
do
more
it.
about Dawn. Chad asked, "What is your favorite character to draw, Jock?" We also have some questions about your favorite panel or art perspective. And David asks if you had always planned to do a video game crawler double page spread like what I have behind me from the start.
Okay, so hang on. Well, the 3 questions. The first one's who's my favorite character to draw?
Yep.
I know.
I still this is off brand. Sorry, David, if you're listening. So I still have my soft spot for Judge Dredd because that's he's what we're reading and he was my first work and all of it. But like honestly, it's a really obvious answer. But I love drawing Batman. Like he's like you can just strip him down to next to nothing, and that really suits the way that I draw him. So he's probably my favorite. What was the next? There was the video game thing, the dog page spread.
You had always planned to do some spreads like the lovely one behind me.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, when me and Will started talking, in fact, like early on, I was thinking of it storytelling wise as very episodic, which it didn't really end up being. But again, I think this is sort of unconsciously I was kind of channeling DSTLRY, and I actually thought about Abby just being a stowaway on this ship, and it's almost like each week, here are the adventures of Abby. Like this is what she does this week, because DSTLRY was really amazing at that. It was, I realized as well once I'd even started working on it that there's a similarity to my favorite DSTLRY story is Halo Jones, Alan Moore and Ian Gibson, and the book 2 takes place on like a space liner, and there are actually suddenly it's like there's similarities. So I've but what DSTLRY and being weekly and an anthology and episodic was really good at is that like 1 week it would just be this is what happened today on this space cruiser, and there's something about that really appealed, like because the space the ocean liner itself, the space liner itself was huge. It was almost like Mega City 1 from Judge Dredd flying through space. So we imagined it as this insanely huge environment. So there'd be so much going on there, and I like the idea of Abby being a stowaway and maybe getting to know a few customers or even just watching people and go about their daily routines. And I didn't really get to indulge that much in that stuff. I kind of wish I'd done more in some ways, but we did touch on it. But at the very beginning, I was picturing this huge environment that this little girl is lost in, and how would she navigate that? So the double page spreads where she's crawling through it all, that seemed like visually and thematically just to sort of make sense to me, and to show this little figure, crawling through this enormous, often industrial kind of environment, just seemed like a sort of really obvious and fun thing to draw as well. It just seemed to visually make a lot of sense. I think there was one other question in the middle which I've forgotten. Sorry, what was that?
Oh, what page or panel are you most proud of from Gone?
Maybe not panel, but I was most like I needed to stick the landing. And if anyone hasn't read it yet, sorry, but I won't say too much. But like just the scene at the end, like that like I had to do the lifting of what was going on in the scene in the drawing, and you try not to think about that stuff until you get to it, but inevitably you just know it's coming, you know, in the back of your head. And actually, it just came really easy. And like normally I might tweak and redraw a face or the physicality of a figure to just make sure they're holding themselves right or something like that. But actually, it came out really easy, and that was quite nice actually, because it was right at the end, obviously. And we were tight for time and all of that stuff, but by that point, you know, we were going, and there's that lovely moment when you are up against the deadlines, but it also means that you're just churning through the stuff, and it's not like you're being sort of quicker in a throwaway manner. It's actually that you're just so in it, you're able to just produce more and more much quicker, and it's all much more. It all has a kind of like a real similarity, like in the artwork, for example. Like, you know, you're going through it so quickly that the characters move and act in a really natural way. Whereas if you've got too much time to think about it, frankly, you can get in your own way, right? But when you're really in the churn of deadlines, and and it's really spilling out, you know, that's often when I find I kind of do my best work. And that end scene happened in that moment, and it just came out, and it was like, oh, okay, I guess that's done then, you know, and then that was it. So maybe that.
You're getting a ton of praise in the chat. The ending was perfect from Bruce Knight. Chef's kiss moment from Joshua Frost. So lots of people are very excited to and happy with the way that Gone ended. I have a question for the entire crew in front of me. For those in the audience that have joined us for a happy hour before, we love to ask this question. Since we are called Distillery and this is the Distillery Happy Hour, if there was a drink based on Gone, what would you put in your cocktail? We'll start with Jock and we'll go around the room.
I put in quite a large Suntory whiskey. Cheers.
Will, how about you?
Oh man, you guys asked me this the last time too, and I didn't have a very good answer. I don't know. Jock and I are very fond of the G&Ts, so anytime we're out and about, that's usually the first 4 or 5, right? Or the gin and tonic.
Gone and tonic.
Exactly.
There you go.
And yeah, we're at some point in the night, we're generally gone after like 15 of those things. Yes.
You got to bring the Milano's background back.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Becky, what do you think?
I don't know. It would have to be like, what do astronauts drink? Like, it's got to be like served in a pouch or something. So yeah, probably be something like that. Maybe like space grog. I don't know, something that you can make in a space bathtub. You know,
Becky,
Abby's not.
I'll serve you something in a pouch.
I thought Lee was gonna like Jeffrey Toobin us there for a second. I was getting a little nervous. Even the chat was like, "What the hell is Lee doing?"
Yeah. Happy hour, but not that happy.
Right. I mean, it's like 1 o'clock there. Meanwhile, the guy's like out of his mind already.
Yeah.
I just ate an egg.
You just what?
I just ate an egg.
Oof.
Is it hard boiled, or what kind of egg was it?
Raw? You just ate it raw? Is that
like
Rocky? Like raw egg yolks, 4 in the morning.
He just cracked a dozen eggs into a pitcher and chugged it while we were on camera here.
Yeah. Secret sauce to coloring well, you know? You need that protein.
Yeah, that's it. Sweet.
I liked that they had Neganis at the distillery party.
Oh, that's right.
In New York, yeah.
What was it?
It was called Negani. Like I love a great pun.
Oh, it was a Negroni.
That is that is not a great pun. That is
no, the fact that it's a bad pun makes it great. Like, the worse it is, the more obligated you are to say the pun.
Oh, Negronis
It's a good color for your book too.
Negronis are just a trip to HR, like waiting to happen. That was a mistake considering those things.
Well, stay tuned for all the puns we got in store this year.
Oh, they're like the it drink now. Those things will run you over.
I love Negronis. That's all I drink.
Oh, of course, because you're a hipster and you're just getting whatever's cool this year. So next year it'll be something else. That's why. Fucking.
I got to keep it up.
California clowns. Exactly.
I set the trends. Okay.
Lucas in the chat says he's very stoned. I'm liking that. That sounds fun. Let's get involved with that. 420. Jock 420.
All right, we got a question from the audience. They noticed that you can now filter by founding creator in the Distillery Marketplace list view, which is super exciting. If you haven't checked out the Marketplace yet, chat, go check it out right now. Very exciting. If you want to catch any of the previous single issues from any distillery series, if someone's offered it for sale, you can go pick one up right there, as well as some offerings from our founding creators. Folks on the panel today, are you having some fun with selling your comps?
Becky is.
Oh
Becky-
yeah, I love it.
Becky's
I love
blowing
it.
up.
I love to, you can write notes. It's my favorite part. I don't think that if you couldn't write notes, I don't know if I would sell anything on there because it's just that's the most fun part of it is like being able to write something completely unhinged to someone who might be into it.
Wait, so you can write a note in the book digitally and then it's there.
Well, it's a note to
No,
the
like in the
seller.
sales
So
thing
it's
here.
like in that thing that, oh yeah, see, I get to just like talk about how much I like blasphemous, like that's fun. That's a fun thing to do.
That's amazing. Yeah, I haven't cracked the code on this yet. I've been a little too pretentious.
It's so
with it,
easy.
man. Come on.
It's so easy. It's ridiculous.
I'll do it this weekend.
Get
Yeah.
some money for the Warhammer figures, Will. Come on.
Yeah, my edibles, McDonald's, and Warhammer figures. I need a little extra. Me and Lucas are going to be completely wasted by like 6 o'clock tonight.
Maybe he needs a new airbrush.
I keep thinking that looks like Shelley Bond though, and it freaks me out. That
Which
one,
Which one?
the cover, that blasphemous cover.
I thought you meant this one, the Gone one with the eyes.
Well, that does too.
What are
She
you
does have
talking
those greedy eyes that just like tear right through you. No, it's the blasphemous cover. Every time I see it, I feel like someone walked over my grave.
Mm.
That third one over, look at that. Come on.
Yeah. You should wait. You should see the back of that book. You can really see.
That's okay.
All right, one last question for the panelists. A majority of you are founding creators. What is your favorite distillery series, past or future, that is yet to come out? Not by you and not by anybody else on the panel today.
It's like picking your favorite children.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
why? What?
Well, you can't pick favorites. That's why I said outside of this panel, which one?
Bryce is trying to start a fight.
Well, I mean, we're covering quite a lot of books in this panel. Like, do you mean like
Yeah,
someone that's not in this panel?
Exactly. Mhm.
Okay.
I mean, I know like Spectrograph is awesome, and
Yeah.
James, I'm like he's
Yeah.
like family to me. But I also wanted to just like throw some love over to Brian and Eduardo's brother's mother. That book really shocked me in a good way. Like I love their work together, but it took some real risks narratively where you think a character that you're following is like sort of either I won't give it away, but like you think he's either the hero or the villain, then it switches where you're really surprised by his actions in a way that I thought was powerful and really stunning and brought this kind of really violent and visceral Old West to life. So I love that book. I wrote Brian about I read it early and wrote them just telling him how much I liked it, but it's a stunner. It's definitely
Yeah, it's great.
one to check out.
Is my cover out there yet, Bryce?
No, we haven't
Not yet.
debuted it.
There you go. There's the reveal.
There's
for
your
this.
spoiler. Yeah, be on the lookout, chat.
I should. We have a
Unfortunately-
babysitter that leaves at 5, and I'm only home with that kid. My kid is sick, so I'm just gonna run. But
Scott, thanks
thanks
for joining.
great seeing you guys.
Thanks, Scott. It's good
Yeah.
to see you, dude.
Yeah, man.
Everybody out there.
Speak to you soon.
Thanks.
Cool.
So I've done a cover, but unfortunately it's not colored by Lee. So yeah.
So it sucks.
We could take it apart right now, put it up on the screen, and we'll like go
Yeah, put it
through
up. Yeah, why not? let's see what Lee would have done.
Hey,
Right.
listen, just to be fair, Scott Snyder, he does not have kids. That's all a lie. That's all a facade. It just completes the
Catching
package.
strays. He isn't even in the chat anymore. Come on.
He lives
No
by
kids.
himself.
No kids. Liar.
Right.
That's it. It's
I
quiet.
don't think you like the direction of the call.
Come on.
Wait, someone say they
Oh, he
like.
had to go start drinking.
Someone say White Boat was their
Private pockets,
favorite
Like,
book. He'll come back. I promise.
All right, guys. Well, I think that actually the rest of us should wrap up as well. Thank you all so much for joining us today. Everyone in the chat, thank you. Be sure to pick up a copy of Gone 3 from your local comic shop. You can find it on distillery.co until the 15th. Hardcover is coming in just a few months. August 14th, the hardcover editions will be out. You can order those now from your local comic store. And certainly check out distillery.co for all the other issues you might have missed on our marketplace. So thanks, everyone. Have a great
Awesome.
weekend.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Bryce.
Congratulations, Jock. That's what it
Thank you,
was
Becky. Thanks,
a great
everyone.
achievement.
Thanks for all your help and support and all of it. Cheers.
All the memes.
All the
Cheers,
memes.
everyone.